In this video, we're going to take a look at 3 different ways to draw an ellipse. We'll first look at drawing an ellipse freehand, and then we'll take a look at using perspective. A circle, of course, is a geometric shape. An ellipse occurs when we are viewing what would typically be a circular shape from a certain vantage point or perspective, as is the case here with these images of a coffee mug. Depending on the vantage point or viewpoint of the viewer, the circle opening that we see at the top of the coffee mug changes, resulting in an ellipse. This can cause issues for artists trying to recreate this. So let's take a look first at using a freehand method to draw the ellipse. We'll begin by drawing 2 intersecting lines to help us figure out the locations of the edge of the ellipse. First, a vertical line is drawn, and a horizontal line is drawn intersecting it. Then we'll figure out the points in which our ellipse ends. We'll mark these points on the 2 lines that we have drawn. Now, using these points as a guide, we can draw the oval shape or the ellipse. It may be helpful to draw with your shoulder at this stage instead of with your wrist. This will help you create that circular, smooth motion. It's also helpful, perhaps, to create several different lines and then find the right line from those lines. We'll also draw the edges and the bottom portion of our cylinder form. Remember, the bottom should be curved as well. And of course, we can also further the illusion of form by adding shading to the drawing. On the inside portion of the container, we'll add darker values on the side of the light source. On the outside portion of the container, we'll add darker values on the opposite side of the light source. You may prefer a more technical approach to creating an ellipse. We'll talk about perspective now, starting with 1-point perspective. We'll start by drawing a horizon line. We'll place a vanishing point on the horizon line. Then we'll draw lines of perspective towards our ellipse. These lines, remember, intersect at the vanishing point. Then we'll determine the height of our ellipse by drawing 2 horizontal lines. Next, we'll determine the midpoint of the rectangular shape that we've created. We'll determine the midpoint both vertically and horizontally. Next, we'll use these intersections to figure out where the points of our ellipse will end. We can mark these with small dots. Now we can draw the ellipse using the points as a guide. Here again, it's a good idea to draw loosely from the shoulder and create several lines. We'll also draw the edges of our cylinder form and a bottom portion. And again, to further the illusion of form, we'll add a bit of shading on the inside portion of the container as well as the outside portion. This same approach can be taken using 2-point perspective. Again, we'll begin with a horizon line. This time, we'll place 2 vanishing points on the horizon line and draw lines of perspective that intersect. 2 lines are drawn for each vanishing point. Where they intersect, you should find a square that's in perspective. Next, we'll find the midpoints of this square using additional lines. Again, these lines go back to one of the 2 vanishing points. These lines will then help us determine the endpoints of our ellipse. Again, we can mark these using small dots. Then we can use these dots as a guide to draw our ellipse. Here again, we'll draw loosely from the shoulder and perhaps draw several lines in order to find the correct line. We'll also draw the edges of our cylinder form, and we'll add a curved bottom as well. And here again, we'll add just a bit of shadowing to further the illusion. Use whichever technique you find the most comfortable to tackle those ellipses. If you enjoyed this video and you're ready to learn more, why not check out 4 video courses, live instruction, and over 6,000 minutes of art instruction, which include ebooks, live lessons, lesson plans, and more. Just click on the button to learn more now.